My brothers and my sisters, hear me today. There are many who say they love God with their lips, but their hearts have yet learned how to walk in that love. We live in a world where love has been reduced to a feeling, a passing moment, a shallow word thrown around in conversations. But the love of God is not shallow, it is not seasonal, it is not conditional. To love God is to walk with Him, to serve Him, to honor Him when nobody is watching, to cling to Him when storms are raging, and to trust Him when the road grows dark. When we talk about loving God, many people confuse it with a fleeting emotion or a momentary feeling of inspiration that sweeps through them during a powerful song, a moving sermon, or a quiet moment of prayer. But if your love for God is based only on emotion, then it will rise and fall just like your emotions do. One day you will feel like loving Him, and the next day you may not. One moment you will be lifted with joy, and the next you may sink into discouragement. Emotions are unstable. They shift with circumstances. They are swayed by what you see, what you hear, and what you feel. But true love for God cannot be built on the foundation of emotion, because emotions were never meant to be the anchor of our devotion. True love is proven in obedience. When Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments, He was not asking us to feel something. He was asking us to do something. Love is not simply a word you speak. It is a lifestyle you live. Love shows up in action, and obedience is the greatest proof of that action. You can sing about love. You can preach about love. You can even cry tears of love. But if your life does not align with obedience, then your words are empty. God is not impressed with lip service. He is not moved by empty promises. He looks for the heart that obeys Him even when it costs something, because obedience requires sacrifice. Obedience demands humility, and obedience proves that you value His will above your own. To love God through obedience means you surrender the right to always be comfortable, the right to always have your way, the right to always lean on your own understanding. It means that even when you don't feel like forgiving, you forgive anyway. Even when you don't feel like trusting, you trust anyway. Even when you don't feel like praying, you pray anyway. That is love. Love shows up in consistency, not in convenience. Anyone can love God when life is easy, when prayers are answered quickly, and when blessings are flowing. But true love is revealed in the wilderness, when you obey Him without seeing the result, when you choose His way instead of yours, even though it's harder. When you honor Him privately, when nobody is applauding you for it. Obedience is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is about choosing daily to align your heart with God's will, even when your flesh is pulling in the opposite direction. That's why Paul said that we must crucify the flesh daily, because there is always a battle between what feels good and what is good, between what is easy and what is right, between what pleases us and what pleases God. And if we truly love Him, we will not let our emotions rule over us. We will let His word govern us. Love anchored in obedience does not say, Lord, I will follow you as long as it feels right. But it says, Lord, I will follow you even when I don't understand, even when it hurts, even when the path is unclear. Think about Abraham, who was called to leave everything familiar behind without even knowing where he was going. His love for God was not rooted in emotion, because emotion would have told him to stay where it was safe and comfortable. His love was rooted in obedience, because obedience moved his feet even when his mind did not have the answers. Think about Noah, who built an ark in obedience to God's command, even though there had never been rain on the earth. His neighbors laughed, his society mocked, but his obedience spoke louder than his emotions. His love for God was not proved by how he felt, but by how he obeyed. Jesus himself modeled this principle in the Garden of Gethsemane. In his humanity, he felt the weight of suffering. He felt the heaviness of the cross. He felt the crushing pain of what was to come. His emotions cried out, "Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me." But his obedience declared, "Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." That is the purest picture of love, not choosing the easy path, but choosing obedience out of devotion to the Father. And if we claim to follow Christ, then our love must look like his: love that submits, love that obeys, love that endures. When you live with obedience, your love for God is no longer dependent on your situation. It doesn't matter if people praise you or persecute you, if doors open or doors close, if you are standing on the mountaintop or walking through the valley. Your love remains steadfast because it is not tied to a feeling. It is tied to your covenant with him. Obedience secures your love in a way emotions never can. Obedience says, "God, I trust you even when I don't trace you. God, I choose you even when it costs me. God, I love you enough to align my life with your word, even when the world tells me to go the opposite direction." Many people today are chasing a feeling, running after experiences, waiting for goosebumps or supernatural moments to reassure them of their love for God. But the reality is, God is not looking for people who get caught up in emotional highs. He is looking for people who will obey him in the quiet places, in the ordinary days, in the moments where no one is watching. Because love that is tested in secret is the strongest love of all. Obedience in the unseen builds a foundation that emotions cannot shake. When you live this way, you begin to see that love is not proven when you're shouting in the sanctuary. It's proven when you're tempted in the silence. Love is not proven when you are celebrated. It's proven when you are criticized. Love is not proven in how you feel in a moment of worship. It's proven in how you respond in a moment of trial. That's why obedience must always outweigh emotion, because emotions can lie to you, they can deceive you, they can mislead you, but obedience will always lead you into truth, always lead you into life, always lead you closer to the heart of God. So to truly love God, you must come to the place where your feelings bow down to your faith, where your emotions serve your obedience, and where your devotion is measured not by what you say or feel, but by what you do in alignment with his word. True love for God is proven through daily discipline, because discipline is what transforms desire into devotion and moments of inspiration into a lifestyle of consistency. Many people feel passion for God when they are in the middle of a powerful worship service or when they hear a message that stirs their soul. But love is not defined by what you do when you are surrounded by others in an atmosphere of excitement. Love is defined by the habits you create in your quiet time, the choices you make in the ordinary moments of life, and the routines you build when no one is there to see you. Discipline is love in action. It is the structure that sustains passion long after the initial fire emotion has faded. Discipline means waking up to pray even when your body would rather sleep. Discipline means opening the Word of God day after day, even when distractions are calling for your attention. Discipline means saying no to the temptations that try to pull you away from His presence, and yes to the things that strengthen your spirit. Discipline is not glamorous. It does not always feel exciting, but it is powerful because it anchors you in truth and keeps your love for God from drifting with the winds of circumstance. Just as an athlete cannot succeed without training daily, a believer cannot truly love God without building daily disciplines that align the heart, mind, and spirit with Him. When you think about discipline, you realize it is not about harshness or rigidity, but about intentionality. A person who loves God does not wait until they feel like praying. They set aside time because they know prayer is their lifeline. A person who loves God does not wait until they feel like worshiping. They cultivate a lifestyle of gratitude so that praise becomes their second nature. A person who loves God does not wait until a crisis comes to seek His word. They build a foundation by feeding their spirit daily with the scriptures. This kind of discipline is not a burden. It is a privilege because it is how love matures into something unshakable and eternal. Think about the way relationships work in life. If someone tells you they love you, but they never spend time with you, never listen to you, never sacrifice for you, and never prioritize you, their words become empty. Love without discipline is nothing more than sentiment. In the same way, if we claim to love God, but we never prioritize time with Him, never discipline ourselves to obey His word, never create habits that keep Him first, then our love is shallow. Real love proves itself in the daily choices that say, Lord, you are my priority, you are my center, you are my first thought and my last thought. The discipline makes that declaration visible in the routines of life. Discipline is also the key that sustains faith when life grows difficult. Emotions may falter when prayers go unanswered, when trials feel overwhelming, when delays seem endless. But discipline holds you steady. The discipline of prayer keeps you connected even when you do not feel the connection. The discipline of worship keeps you grateful even when life feels heavy. The discipline of studying the Word keeps you nourished even when your soul feels dry. Discipline carries you through the seasons when emotions cannot. It is like roots planted deep into the soil, unseen yet unshakable, drawing strength from the source no matter what storms may rage on the surface. Consider the example of Daniel, who prayed 3 times a day, even when it was outlawed and dangerous. His love for God was not situational, it was discipline. He did not wait until he felt like it. He had already built a rhythm of devotion that no king's decree could break. His discipline proved his love. Think about David, who declared that he meditated on the law of the Lord day and night. His love for God was not just expressed in songs, it was embedded in his habits of constant meditation. And Jesus himself, though he was the Son of God, lived a life of discipline. He often withdrew to lonely places to pray. He fasted, he studied, he demonstrated that love requires rhythm, structure, and consistency. Daily discipline is what transforms ordinary moments into sacred ones. When you choose to pray before your day begins, you are declaring that God is the first voice you want to hear. When you pause to give thanks before you eat, you are declaring that at every provision comes from him. When you open the word before making a decision, you are declaring that his wisdom is greater than your own. These small acts, practiced consistently, build a life that is rooted in love. They are not about legalism or ritual. They are about intimacy. They remind you that love is not proven in a single grand gesture, but in the daily habits that demonstrate your devotion. Discipline also sharpens your spiritual sensitivity. When you practice discipline, you train your heart to recognize God's voice more clearly. You learn to discern his nudges, to notice his presence, to follow his leading. Without discipline, the noise of life drowns out his whisper. But with discipline, you quiet yourself enough to hear him. Just as a musician trains daily to perfect their skill, a believer trains daily to tune their heart to God. Discipline builds endurance, and endurance strengthens love. The more consistent you are, the more you grow, and the more you grow, the deeper your love becomes. At times, discipline may feel mundane, but love finds beauty in the ordinary. A parent who wakes up daily to care for a child proves love not in one dramatic act, but in countless consistent acts of sacrifice. A spouse who shows up faithfully day after day, even in routine, builds love that is trustworthy and secure. In the same way, when you practice daily discipline before God, you are saying, Lord, my love is not shallow, it is steady, it is dependable, it is woven into the fabric of my life. That kind of love pleases him because it is not fickle or circumstantial. It is grounded in commitment. Daily discipline also breaks the power of distractions. In a world filled with constant noise, endless demands, and countless temptations, discipline creates space for God to remain central. Without discipline, it is easy to drift, to become consumed by business, to be pulled away by lesser loves. But discipline pulls you back to what matters most. It guards your heart from being divided. It anchors your focus. It protects your priorities. Discipline is not chains, it is freedom, because it keeps you aligned with the one who is your source of peace, joy, and life. The truth is, love that lacks discipline will eventually fade, but love built on daily discipline will endure. Discipline deepens trust, it strengthens faith, it produces fruit. Over time, Discipline turns small seeds of devotion into mighty trees of faithfulness. Each prayer, each act of obedience, each moment in the Word, each step of faith, though it may seem small in the moment, compounds into a life overflowing with the evidence of true love for God. Loving God means loving others unconditionally, because the greatest evidence of your love for God is how you treat the people He has placed around you. It is easy to say, I love God, when your hands are lifted in worship. But the true test of that love is revealed in how you respond to your neighbor, your family, your friends, even your enemies. Scripture makes it plain when it says, if anyone says, I love God and hates his brother, he is a liar. But that is a hard truth. But it reminds us that love for God and love for others cannot be separated. They are not two different commandments. They are two sides of the same coin. To love God is to reflect His character, and His character is love. Therefore, if His love has truly filled your heart, it will flow out of you to others. This kind of love is not conditional. It is not based on what people do for you, how they treat you, or whether they agree with you. Conditional love is human love, limited by feelings and circumstances. But divine love, the love of God, is unconditional. It chooses to love even when the other person is unworthy, even when the other person has failed, even when the other person has nothing to offer in return. That is the kind of love God has shown us, and it is the kind of love He commands us to extend to others. To love only those who love you back is easy, but to love those who hurt you, betray you, or misunderstand you, that is the mark of God's love working in you. When you study the life of Jesus, you see this love demonstrated at every turn. He loved the leper who was cast out by society. He loved the tax collector despised by his own people. He loved the woman caught in adultery when others were ready to stone her. He loved Judas even while knowing Judas would betray him. And on the cross, when nails pierced his hands and blood poured from his body, he prayed for his executioners, saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This unconditional love, a love that cannot be explained by human logic, a love that does not seek revenge, a love that gives freely without demanding repayment. If we say we love God, then this is the love we must reflect in our relationships with others. Loving others unconditionally means choosing forgiveness when bitterness would be easier. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was right. It is saying, I will not let hatred or resentment rule my heart. It means releasing others into God's hands, refusing to carry the poison of offense, and choosing to walk in freedom. Forgiveness is one of the purest demonstrations of unconditional love because it requires dying to self, laying aside the right to retaliate, and extending grace just as God has extended grace to us. Every time you forgive, you prove that your love for God is greater than your need to be right or your desire for revenge. Loving others as unconditionally also means serving without seeking recognition. It means giving when no one says thank you, helping when no one notices, and showing kindness when no one returns it. The world teaches us to love with conditions, to give only when we will receive something back, to show kindness when it is convenient, to serve when there is a reward attached. But God's love calls us higher. It says love when it is hard, give when it costs you, serve when it goes unnoticed. Because your reward does not come from people, it comes from God. True love for Him is revealed in hidden acts of service that flow from a heart that seeks no applause, but only His approval. Unconditional love also breaks down walls of division. In a world fractured by race, class, culture, politics, and religion, the love of God stands as the great unifier. When you love others unconditionally, you do not see them through the lens of their mistakes, their background, or their differences. You see them as God sees them, created in His image, valuable in His sight, worth loving regardless of their flaws. This love dismantles prejudice, it tears down pride, refuses to categorize people as worthy or unworthy. It is the love that sees beyond the surface and reaches into the soul, declaring that every person is someone Christ died for. Unconditional love also requires patience. People will fail you, disappoint you, misunderstand you, and frustrate you. But love that is unconditional does not walk away at the first sign of imperfection. It endures, it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. This is not a weak love, it is a strong love because it refuses to give up on people even when they give up on themselves. It is the kind of love that stands beside someone in their darkest hour and says, I will not abandon you. It is the kind of love that reflects the heart of the good shepherd who leaves the 99 to go after one that is lost. Unconditional love also teaches us humility. After the one that to love others without condition means you lay down your pride. You choose compassion over judgment. You choose understanding over criticism. It means you do not elevate yourself above others, but you see yourself as a servant willing to stoop low in order to lift someone else up. Jesus modeled this humility when He washed the feet of His disciples, taking the role of a servant even though He was the master. When you love others this way, you demonstrate that your love for God is not rooted in pride, but in genuine humility that reflects His nature. To love unconditionally also means loving when it is inconvenient. Love is often tested not in grand gestures, but in small, inconvenient moments. It is tested when you are tired, but someone needs your help. When you are busy, but someone needs your ear. When you are hurt, but someone needs your compassion. These are the moments that reveal whether your love is conditional or unconditional. If you only love when it is convenient, your love is shallow. But if you love when it costs you time, energy, or comfort, your love is real. This is the love that mirrors the sacrifice of Christ, who gave not out of convenience, but out of deep, unwavering devotion. Unconditional love is also courageous. It takes courage to love people who are difficult, to extend kindness to those who reject you, to stand firm in compassion when hatred surrounds you. It is not weak to love unconditionally. It is the strongest choice you can make because it resists the natural urge to retaliate. It overcomes evil with good and it refuses to be conquered by bitterness. This love carries the power to heal wounds, restore relationships, and transform hearts. It is the love that can soften the hardest soul and bring light into the darkest places. Ultimately, loving others unconditionally is not something you can do in your own strength. It flows from God Himself. As you abide in Him, as His Spirit fills you, as His love transforms you, that love begins to overflow into every interaction, every relationship, every encounter. The more you experience His unconditional love for you, the more you are able to extend it to others. You cannot give what you have not received. But when His love saturates your heart, it becomes natural to pour it out on those around you. This is why loving God and loving others are inseparable, because the love of God in you will always manifest as love for others.